Hello, everyone.
Hello.
9 at 5. Welcome to DLT&Biscuits. Cheers.
Yes.
We're back again. This is podcast number 2, and it's lovely to have you guys along. So thank you very much, whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on catch up through our YouTube channel. Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully between today and our previous stream, you've had a chance to check out the first one where we had a look at some really cool things to do with PowerPoint. Thanks to Charlotte. And we just had a general chat and reflection about what happened just over the last year, really, which was it was nice to have that sort of reflection time, wasn't it, guys?
It wasn't it? I hope obviously other people kind of thought about what we spoke about as well.
Yeah, I think
their experience as well.
Speaking to some staff at my school who sort of watched the stream and things, they said, it was nice to have that sort of opportunity to just reflect on it and think, wow, we got through that, we made it. So yeah, very interesting, but very worthwhile at the same time. So this week on DLT&Biscuits, we are very, very lucky. We're going to be joined by Deborah from Century. I can see she's just joined in the lobby. We'll say hi in a second.
I just texted her, that's why I said we're live.
Awesome. But before we do, shall we just have a quick introduction of ourselves, just to, if anyone missed the first stream, just to say who we are. We won't do this every week, but just for the first few. And should we call it a 30-second elevator pitch? So you in a nutshell, 30 seconds.
I like it.
What are you all about? I think we started with Stephen last time, so I'm going to put the pressure on. Charlotte, it's your turn.
Hey.
Who are you?
I'm not sure I've got 30 seconds of stuff to talk about, to be honest with you guys.
Okay.
I am Charlotte. I am a Year 6 teacher with a love of all things kind of digital and getting technology into the classroom to support SEN learners and children with additional needs.
Awesome, very succinct. I'll go. So I'm Simon. I work at Jesmond Gardens Primary School. I'm the technology and innovation lead there, as well as a Year 6 teacher. I've been teaching for, I think I'm in my 12th year now. So I've taught all over the primary school from Year 1 all the way through to Year 6, and I've tried to sort of embed technology in as much of that as possible, making it engaging, making it interesting for the kids.
Fantastic. Hello, I'm Stephen from Throston. I'm a middle level leader in science and technology, also in Year 6. Just love computing, love anything digital, love learning it, love learning with the children. As I think I've just been informed from last week, I love tablets, as in the tablets that we use, which is fun. But yeah, just obviously looking at any innovation, anything out there, because there's so much out there, and obviously finding out what best fits our school, and whether that be in early years in Year 1 or Year 6, and just trying to cascade that and pass that on as well. And obviously work with you two guys as well, learning more things as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, it's been a learning journey, this whole project, hasn't it? And hopefully through these streams and through our social media and through our websites and things, even through our newsletters, we're going to try and share that with as many colleagues around the town as possible. So while we're doing introductions, shall we introduce our guest today? Stephen, do you want to introduce our guest?
Hello. Well, this is Deborah. Hello, Deborah.
Hello there. Thank you for inviting me. I feel like a very honoured guest.
I know. You are our first guest.
I am honoured.
Yeah.
Good job I put my room jacket on for the occasion.
So this is obviously Deborah McKenzie. She's from Century. We use Century in our school, and obviously Deborah's just going to give us a quick overview of what Century can do to support schools, teachers, and pupils as well. And I'm really pleased that you've finally managed to get you on.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
I know.
Excellent. Well, thank you for having me. So I know there's only a few of us here. This is everybody that's going to be here, and then you're kind of broadcasting it out. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's live.
Yeah.
It's going out. So you're all Year 6 digital leads, but this could be going to primaries, secondaries, FE, all over the area. Brilliant. Okay. Well, thrilled that everybody in the room is into digital. that's always a good thing. And
you're amongst friends.
Yeah.
that is what we're all about at Century. Our kind of story is that our CEO, Priya Lakhani, she was on the advisory board for business innovation and skills back in 2012 with David Cameron and Vince Cable. And she was tasked with looking at the skills shortage and why we have so many children who don't reach expected levels of reading, writing, mathematics. And she kind of wanted to look at how we could utilize artificial intelligence, which is transforming every other sector of the world. It's driving cars, it's diagnosing breast cancer, and apply those kind of methodologies to teaching and learning to take out some of the heavy lifting for teachers, because workload has just become unreal. I think in the last year even more so, and so many teachers want to leave the sector because of that, and that's such a sad thing. So we wanted to address that kind of teacher workload issue, but also create personalised learning and differentiated learning for every pupil that is designed to kind of meet what they need, whether they need attention in terms of their gaps in learning, whether they need stretch and challenge, wherever they are, that they can access personalised learning that is designed specifically for them. And that's what we've done. So I'm going to briefly share my screen. Please interact or ask me any questions. I know you want it to be engaging and interactive, so please do feel free to interact at any time. So I'm just coming on to share now. Can you see anything?
Not currently. Have you got the option to share at the bottom?
At the moment, it's just not allowing me. So I've clicked share, and then the share button is grayed out.
Oh, that's interesting.
That's a great start for us as a digital learning team, that we can't get the technology to work in our favour at this point.
Let me try this. Here we go. So it's not letting me do my whole screen for some reason, but I can do a window.
Are you on Google Chrome?
I'm on yes.
Yeah.
Well, same Chrome tab. Let's try this.
There we go.
Can you see
some?
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, perfect.
Great.
Nice.
So this is basically the platform. This is what pupils see. This is what students see, whether they are a year 3 pupil in primary or in FE retaking their GCSEs. The platform looks exactly the same. And we actually cover, in terms of our curriculum coverage, maths, science and English from key stages 2 to 4. So obviously for primaries, it's the whole of key stage 2. We've also now just increased our year 2 coverage. So we've got about 50% coverage of the year 2 curriculum now, just so that we can take into account those gaps. It's not designed for year 2s to learn to use, but more to support gaps in learning in year 3. Although your kind of top end year 2s might be able to access it. We basically start with some diagnostics, and they are at the beginning of every course. And this is where we're first kind of determining where the individual is at. So they just have a series of questions to answer, and you'll see as I'm progressing through here, I don't get any feedback on whether I'm wrong or right. It's just designed to be a really quick, accurate snapshot overview of where I'm at that moment in time. So that's not the only time that we use artificial intelligence, but it is the starting point. So that recommended pathway is created based on the back of those diagnostics. Any questions at this point?
Can I just say, we use this obviously, and the children really like the diagnostics actually.
Do they?
No feedback or anything. They just get on with it and kind of they go through. But for teachers, it's really, really important to have that beginning with that starting point. And obviously with you seeing that artificial intelligence, and it works for the pupil, doesn't it, as it goes through? It's stretching them, but then pulling them back a little bit if they're not getting them correct. So they're having that kind of that enthusiasm that they want to get better and better. That's kind of supporting them doing that, isn't it?
I also like that there was an option where they could just say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Which you often don't get, but it's just their opportunity to say, actually, this is something that I'm not comfortable with yet, or I'm not sure about, and it's their sort of like nice way, interactive way of just saying, actually, that's something that you need to teach me, which is really nice.
I think, like you say, Stephen, I think they quite like knowing that they're using the latest technology. They know that it's working for them and their brain. There's lots of kind of cognitive messages that pop up reminding them that as well, and telling them a bit about how the brain works, and a lot of kind of cognitive growth mindset around this. So
little emojis as well on the bottom right-hand corner with I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling neutral, how you feeling today. So it's all about that well-being, isn't it, as well, for children, and that obviously understanding of that as well.
Yeah, it's really useful that, so they can let us know how they're feeling at the end of every nugget, that there are micro lessons or anything, and it displays in the bottom right of the screen, as you can see. So if you're using it in class, a quick glance around the class, like say, Stephen, you kind of know where you need to go and have a chat with someone or where they're at.
Nice.
So what you've got then is these kind of micro lessons, and we use interleaving, so they're all mixed together in terms of subjects, but you can turn these on and off and just focus in one subject area. If they're using this completely independently, which it is set up to do, then we prefer them to kind of chop and change between subjects, and that tends to work better. You can also direct the learning as a teacher. So this little person icon indicates that the teacher has set the work. So you can choose to do that at group level, at class level, at intervention level, individual, however you like. So you can basically use the artificial intelligence alongside directed learning and sticking to your scheme of work and your plan there as well. Do you want to have a quick look at a lesson?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So this is one from our Year 4 SPAG course, so spelling, punctuation and grammar on word classes. So I'll just play you a little clip. You always have a video and then some slideshow remember cards. So let's have a little look.
Identifying word classes. There are lots of different word classes. There are nouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, pronouns, and conjunctions. There's even more that we haven't learnt about yet. It's important to be able to identify different kinds of word classes. A noun is a person, place, thing,
So
or
I'm just going to mute that while I talk, and it's in the background. So these lessons, they're designed to be roughly around 5 minutes in length. Obviously, we talk through, it's all based on pedagogy and very much delivered as you probably would as teachers in the classroom environment. We've thought very hard about cognitive load, and you won't see much in terms of gamification. We've tried to keep all the slides very simple, pull out those key elements with the different colours and bold, just so that they can really concentrate and free up that working memory to focus on what they're actually needing to focus on. So it kind of follows the format. We teach the lesson, then we kind of skip along, and it's a sort of your turn. So we say pause the video, have a go. We set them a few little tasks to think about, and then we kind of work through those tasks together at the end. And then after the video, they have got the remember cards just to kind of reiterate that information. And then they have a series of formative assessment questions. So this is where we're checking their level of understanding. You've got all types of question answers here, drag and drop, full text, multiple choice. And you can see now we're starting to get feedback on our answers, but we can also unveil the correct answers and see what they were. What we'd also like to see them doing is going back into that learning content to use active retrieval and actually, come back and answer the questions correctly. So that's really the way that the platform works. Any questions around the lesson content or curriculum at all at this point?
We find that very, very easy for the children, and obviously sometimes we'll use it as a starter for the lesson, because sometimes when you're looking for PowerPoints or videos and certain things, it actually fits perfectly for the children, and then we'll pause it where it says pause it. The children are already with the whiteboards and pens ready for the pause because they know there's a question coming up, because it is so kind of similar as you go through. And that's really engaging for them as well, because it gets that understanding. And when they do it independently, like you say, they can go back. It's like, well, have a look at the video, have a look at the remember card, and they're kind of like, oh, I remember that now, and they'll put 2 and 2 together to move on as well. which is nice.
So, can I ask a question?
Oh.
When your class have taken a little lesson like this, as a teacher, would I then get some kind of like report or some kind of data where I can check to see who it is who would need to go back at an intervention level? Like how does that work? What kind of data would I get out of that?
Yeah, let me show you the teacher side, and Stephen, feel free to add to this.
Teacher side got loads more icons down the left-hand side as well with course
Right, okay.
where this is just for the pupil to see. So it's just
I
for
understand.
Yeah.
So can you see the teacher dashboard currently?
No.
Has it changed screen? No. So I think that's because I'm not able to share my whole computer. So if I stop that screen share and then share again.
I mean, it looks great. I love the like animations and videos and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
It looks like the kids would really enjoy watching it.
The teacher dashboard really brings in the percentages and it analyzes, and you can rank them, and you can see straight away who's doing what.
Like who would need extra.
Yeah. And bear in mind, there's only 10 questions.
Yeah.
So it's quite good, you know what I mean, when it goes through. It's something like that, so you can see straight away with the diagnostic.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
Color coded as well. We like color coded.
Yeah.
It's an elaborated system, so you've got everything coming through in terms of these are percentages, so you can see at a glance how everyone's doing. This is like a year 11 maths class. Obviously, we talked about the kind of range that we cover. So what we can see here is that these pupils have all completed some of the diagnostics at the beginning, that we can then see personalisation in action as they've gone off to different areas of the course. The teacher has obviously set that one on subtraction as they've all completed that one, which is really useful for assessment for learning. And then what you've got at nugget level is question by question analysis coming back in real time, Charlotte. So say you've got the class. Wow. And you've said, right, okay, I want you to all go and complete this. As they're answering, this is going to fill up in front of your eyes in the screen. So you can have a look at this, for example. Question 7, hang on, stop the class. Question 7, we're all struggling with that. So I want to just go over that. You can even bring up one of the wrong answers, see how they've answered it, see if it's something, just simple, or whether it's really something that they've just misunderstood and need to go over. So you can very much adapt to the needs of the class in real time. Those that have grasped whatever you're teaching can move on, working on the recommended pathway, and those that need a bit more help, you can turn your attention to.
Great.
It's very detailed, Charlotte, isn't it?
Yeah, it does look it.
Especially for assessments and things like that. It's kind of really good to support report as well.
Yeah.
When going through as well.
I think in terms of that instant data as well, that's just such a good opportunity to close that feedback loop.
Yes.
You're not having to wait until the kids have gone, mark the books, and then wait for them to come back in the next day. It's instant. You can see straight away, and like you were saying, Deborah, you know straight away where you need to address, and you can do it in real time. You can do it live, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, I don't know how we are for time. I don't want to take up more time than I'm allocated, but I think
no, it's absolutely fine.
It's fine, honestly.
Deborah, if schools wanted to sort of give it a trial, like, do you guys offer a free trial or anything like that? And how does that work? Is it just for teachers to have a look at, or can classes get a trial?
We don't do trials as such, but we do. We are happy to give out demo accounts. So if you wanted to look, go in as a student and have a look at the depth and breadth of the curriculum coverage, the quality of the resources, you can have a good look at that. We can give you a few extra student accounts so that you can put a few students in front of it and get their feedback. That can always be useful. Do you want me to pop my email address in the chat? Would that be useful for people to get in contact? Or
that'd be great. If you pop it in there, I can then put it in the description below the YouTube video as well.
To be honest, I don't know how many schools are using it in Hartlepool, but obviously at Broston we do use it. Mm-hmm. So we obviously when the time comes for people to actually be able to get into schools, it would be, if anyone would like to come in and see it as well live, kind of we'd be very willing to come and have a look, you know what I mean? As Deborah, Simon and Charlotte, we've never actually met physically yet.
That was what I used to do. So I think we were introduced originally via High Tunstall, or some of your teachers children were using it at High Tunstall, and I met Mark and Pete and the team there back in the day when that was allowed and that was the norm. But hopefully from September we'll be back out in schools. So I'd love to come and see you all.
Brilliant. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Stephen.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask, what's your favourite way of using Sentry in your classroom? Like, do you do it as a lesson? Do you do it as an intervention?
We do it as a lesson. To be honest, when we started with Sentry, then lockdown kind of happened, so we're setting it for homework as well in different tasks. But we still set it as homework. It's a part of our homework grids for year 3 to 6 as an extra thing. So if you're covering, for example, some fractions, this is really good to actually pinpoint the nuggets that they've got. They can actually be used as homework to consolidate that understanding and for the children to apply it, which is really good. But then we really like dipping in at the beginning of the lesson we'll watch a video, we'll look at the screen, we'll pull up a few examples. The children are fortunate enough to have Android tablets, so they can quickly go on. They'll do the 10 questions, or they'll go through some, and you'll wander around and pull it up on the board, and you'll be watching, which is really good. So it's really supportive for them, because obviously it's like Deborah saying, it's all artificial intelligence, so it's pushing them a little bit. Yeah. If they keep on getting them all right, it's pushing them a bit, and then if they're going to get them wrong, they're making them think about it as well. So we're kind of possibly going down the intervention route with it, with catch up as well. But at the moment, we're trying to utilise so much to try and engage the pupils right the way across to get them back into that way of learning.
But it's great that one platform can have so many different applications. You can use it as a whole fast teaching tool. You can use it as like independent, like your starters, like you said. I was just interested to hear how it's used.
Which is really good, because you can, like I say, you can dip in on certain things as well.
And the one last thing I was going to ask Stephen, I know we've got Deborah here as well, but I want to ask you actually, if that's all right.
Go on then. You're pointing to me on the screen as well. It's great.
I know, you're over there. Wave down. What's it like in terms of setup and things, in terms of sort of like infrastructure that you need? Is there a big sort of like setup for loading up students and things, or is it fairly straightforward?
It was fairly straightforward, Deborah, wasn't it? Everything's kind of done. It's all there for you, and you can go in, you can add some pupils. You can, if a pupil, for example, is not working at the national curriculum, so instead of working at year 5, you can actually go in and set them as an account in year 4, because there's no point giving them all year 5 work if they can't access it. So because this is quite a broad spectrum, you can kind of dip into it a little bit more, so they can use that intervention to catch up as well, which is really good. Then it's more personalised, I think. But the setups was straightforward. The use is straightforward as well. And obviously we've got Deborah and the team at Sentry to support as well, and you get really quick feedback as well if you get stuck, which is really good. Do you know what I mean?
Session, don't you, Stephen?
Yeah, we have training sessions as well, which is really good. I think we've had a few, haven't we?
Yeah.
Even just ringing back up and our email and saying, can we get some more training on this? Because obviously Sentry is evolving up, and you need to move forward with it, because there's a lot of things in there that at the beginning we weren't utilising. But we had a little bit more training, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, didn't know that, and oh well, I didn't know that existed there, and can you do that? And I think, Deborah, we were asking questions, weren't we, in our bubble of kind of, can you do this, can you do that? And you went, yep, you just do this, this, and this. And it was like, wow, because those are the type of questions from teachers who are in the classroom, who are using it. Want to know? Do you know what I mean? Is there an easy way for this? Yeah, you just do this.
It's one of those, when you start using it, you have more questions, don't you? So we kind of and then once you've been running for a few weeks, we suggest another session so we can go through all your questions. You want to get a bit more out of it, explore some more of the advanced features, and set up. We use a third party called Group Core to pull your data from your MIS system, like Sims or that's pretty quick. I think we need to allow 48 hours because we use a third party, but it's generally much quicker than that. And we have single Office 365 or Google 365.
But that saves, obviously, Simon, like you saved the input instead of typing all the names in and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Which is a bit of a nightmare, rolling things over, because Sims follows that. It rolls it over as well, which is really, really good.
Oh, that's awesome. I think it's got everything from the looks of things, hasn't it? In terms of sort of engagement for the kids, making it fun and interactive, and in terms of teacher workload and just everything being there. And like I say, the thing for me that really sort of like sells it for me is that it's closing that feedback loop. You can see straight away the kids aren't waiting for that sort of feedback through maybe 2 or 3 days. It's instant. So
quick, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very impressed. Thank you so much, Deborah, for coming on, joining us and sharing it with us.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're very welcome, Deborah.
Honoured to be the first guest.
Okay, so we'll see
everyone.
You
Thanks,
too.
Deborah.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Right, so that was fantastic, wasn't it?
That looks cool.
There's actually a lot from the teacher console. There's a lot going on there with all the analysis and everything like that, and obviously being able to dip in as well into different areas is really useful as well. But like I say, we're using it in conjunction with other things as well.
Yeah, no, I'm really impressed.
Rather than one, you're using it in conjunction and getting the best out of it.
Yeah. We use something called Socrative a lot that runs alongside Shobi. And there are pre-existing quizzes out there and things, but they're obviously user created and teacher created and things. Or you can create your own quizzes based on what's going on in class or whatever. But the fact that that's there and it sort of runs alongside the curriculum and it's all linked and there's videos and it, even their little characters, it makes them memorable. Like having the conjunctions little fellows with these little links and these sort of chains and things.
For me, it's the colours as well. Colours of them that stand out when you're looking for verbs and nouns. It's the colour, because obviously children are learning in so many different ways.
Like dual coding, isn't it?
You're just looking and thinking, oh, yep. And then when they've got the tablet in front of them, it's like, oh, yep. And then they're going back. They're in control. They're in charge as well. It's just really good. Fantastic.
Awesome. Right. Okay. We did put a little bit of time aside today to look at something completely different, which was the Gallup report that came out quite recently that was looking particularly at creativity in learning. I do have it on screen here, but I think what we might do is just throw this out as this is what we're going to be looking at in future streams. If you're interested and you'd like to sort of read it, we'll put the link to the whole report in the description and things, and we might discuss this further in other streams. But just very, very quickly, the key findings of this report. It was a study done in the States looking at schools across the country, and they looked at thousands of schools, and they spoke to students, teachers, parents from sort of young people all the way through to sort of like high schools. But the result of this actually showed that technology was to play a really, really key part in building those skills that employers really, really want. Thinking back, I think it was the Education Endowment Foundation who said, about the future skills and future jobs, critical thinking, problem solving, all of those types of collaborative communication and things. They didn't want people who could, necessarily write a poem or maybe, I don't know, the things that we traditionally teach in classrooms as standard. They wanted creative thinkers and problem solvers. So actually, this report looks at how technology can actually have a really sort of strong impact on that. Charlotte, I know you were talking about the amount of devices, and it's not actually the fact that you've got the devices in class, is it? It's how it's used.
Yeah, so one of the things that I took from it when I read it, and I think it's a really sort of interesting report, and it's not too kind of heavy to read. I think for anybody who is a subject lead or looking at developing their curriculum, I think it's a really good read, very topical at this point in time. And one of the key things that I took from it was how it's all about, it's not just using the technology that you've got to type instead of writing, because that actually doesn't create the buy-in that you need. That's not the creativity that we're talking about. It's about using technology in innovative ways so that the children can use, or your learners can use technology in interesting ways that engage them with the topic of their learning. So project-based things. So for example, taking poetry as an example, because you know, poetry can be difficult to teach, I think, sometimes. But using technology to, I don't know, research images, find different ways of presenting the poem, different shapes, different fonts, things like that, really using technology purposefully to help meet the needs of your learners and help support the curriculum and support creativity, because, you know, it's much more memorable that way. If the children of, I keep saying children, but this is, you know, the same for learners of all ages. If people kind of are being creative when they are producing a piece of work or a project, or, you know, whatever it may be, they're much more likely to engage with it and get more from it. So that was one thing that I took from this when I read it.
A lot of it really sort of made me think of, I don't know if you guys, with not working too much with Apple products, but whether you've seen Apple's documents called Everyone Can Create. They released Everyone Can Code, and then they've come out with Everyone Can Create, which looks at, you know, that they've got digital books for teachers showing how to put photography, multimedia, video making, music, even down to things like digital drawing and sketching and things, turning the children into the creators as opposed to them just being the consumers or just using a device to write something up or to research something. That really sort of made me think about, you know, that Everyone Can Create document when I was reading through this. The other things that it came out with there also, just very, very quickly at the end, they talked about a supportive and collaborative culture, training and autonomy to try new things in the classroom. And really that's something that I'm quite passionate about as a teacher. I'm constantly trying things, and I'm very lucky to work in a school currently where there is a culture that it's okay to try things. And if things go wrong, share it. If things go well, share it. So it is sort of professionally, and it's kind of what we're trying to do as a team, isn't it? Professionally sharing and building that culture of, you know, this works. This is something good that works. So share it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, the report itself, I'll put the link in the description so you can see it after the stream is finished. But yeah, there's like Charlotte says, it's very nice to read. It's full of quite interesting graphs and tables and things. Very visual about its data, and it really puts quite a few things into perspective. Seeing things from parents' points of view, seeing things from teachers and students' point of view.
I think that's really
and I think
important
as well.
Do you?
Yeah,
Sorry,
parents.
the
And no, I think you're totally right, Stephen.
And the pupil point of view as well, because like technology is sometimes, like you said there, Simon, that you need to have like that ethos of like giving it a go.
Yeah.
And obviously, people have got technology, but if they're not using it, kind of, if they're just doing kind of the meaningful tasks, that's not using technology, is it?
Yeah.
Actually, you could use something else much better.
I think I said in the last stream, I do always say to people, if the best tool for the job is a Post-it note, use a Post-it note.
Yeah,
if the best tool for the job is Sentry or an iPad or anything, use that. That's what we do as teachers. We put the right tools in the kids' hands and let them create. So
what it said to me as well, that report, is, and you know, this is something that I kind of knew anyway, and I'm quite excited about, but gone are the days where the iPads are the things that you use on a Friday afternoon as a reward for having a good week. Like, they need to be sort of woven in and out of your lessons. And like you said, Simon, don't use it for the sake of using it. Use it purposefully in a way that is going to create engagement and motivation in your learners.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, as I say, we haven't got time today to really sort of dig deep into some of those factors, but that's definitely something that we might do in a future stream. Speaking of future streams, our next live session, I think, is the 20th. Is that the next next fortnight? Yeah,
I'm going to say yes.
Yes.
I'll be there.
Yeah, quick bit of maths in the head. Obviously, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, people who are watching live. If you've watched this after the event, then thank you so much. Please do share this with colleagues, share it with teacher colleagues, teacher friends from all over the place, and just get involved. Ask us questions on Twitter. Our emails go out to all of the IT leads in the town. Along with those emails, we are sending out our bi-monthly newsletter.
Yeah.
I printed mine A3 this week, so it's really, really big on the staff room wall.
Make it visible.
Yeah.
Make it visible.
And just get chatting about technology now more than ever. It is the time to really sort of strike while the iron's hot, while technology is at the forefront of everything that we've done for the last year. Anything else from you guys?
No, I think just I want schools everywhere to know that if there's anything that we can help with, if you're struggling with using technology, if you think, oh, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm not sure how it'll work in practice, please, please, please tweet us, send us an email, comment on the YouTube. We're here to help, and that's kind of what we want to be doing, isn't it, guys? Like, we want to support people to enjoy the use of technology in their lessons and the development of the curriculum and things like that. Like, please help, because we're doing it ourselves. We're in class, we're doing these things daily. We're not going to be telling you things that we don't actually sort of get behind ourselves. So please get in touch if we can do anything.
Awesome.
And I think if you would like to appear on the broadcast, that would be fantastic. If someone actually says, obviously, wow, I'd really like to go over this. So we want to learn as well. As three individuals, we want to learn as well. So if anyone's got 5 minutes to pop on, fantastic.
Well, you know what? After Charlotte's little 5 minutes on PowerPoint, I went away that weekend, and I was like, right, can Keynote do this? And it could. So I've done new Keynote things. So already we've had an impact, even if it's just.
I'll tell you what, as well. Listen, go on.
I know I went on that in that first one about my PowerPoint clicker, but it has just grown even more today as I found out that it can be used also in Active Inspire. Amazing.
I'll tell you what as well, I love the fact I didn't know about Classroom Screen.
Oh, Classroom Screen.
Oh my goodness me. Classroom
Screen
with the QR code. Oh, it is.
Listen,
you don't know that, have a look at that, because it's
you need
fantastic.
to watch the videos. So I have this week, I've bit the bullet and paid for the subscription. I've done it. You've sold it to me. So you need to be on commission for them, because I think it's £27 for the year. For the amount of time that it saves me. I really appreciate being able to save my screens. So I make them at a weekend or my PPA or whatever, and being able to save them. Yeah. Love it. And my class like it as well. So that's a winner for me, that one. I love it. Saves me a lot of time.
I mean, Simon, your videos are just perfect CPD on a night. I don't even have to do it. I just put it on.
Plenty of coffee. I'm a year 6 teacher, and I'm a blogger as well. So there you go. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you to Deborah. We'll have to send her a little email saying thanks.
I know. Might even get a packet of biscuits.
Yes, we'll send her. Well, I tell you what, anyone else who comes on and shares something good, we're going to send them some biscuits. Fantastic. Good old DLT&Biscuits. Awesome. So that's it from us. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much again for joining us. And remember, if it doesn't work, turn it off.
I love it.
Turn it back on again. See you later, guys.
Bye. Bye.